MyDoma Studio is your complete designer toolkit. You know this, right? MyDoma makes it easy to streamline your processes, track your projects, communicate with clients, and just get organized. It is created by designers for designers, specifically to address what you need as a design business owner. MyDoma is now together with Studio Designer, and they are the industry-leading solution. With 20,000 plus users, more designers choose their platform than any other. Are you ready to reach the next level of profitability and efficiency? Book a demo with MyDoma Studio today by going to mydomastudio.com/Luann. That's mydomastudio.com/Luann. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. You know, over the years on this show, there have been episodes that I tend to refer to over and over again because there was these little nuggets from them that just seemed to stick in my brain. And one of those episodes was my first conversation with the incredibly talented Nate Berkus. In that episode, we discussed the client experience, the importance of communication when running a business, and Nate's journey to TV fame. Today, I'm very excited to welcome Nate back to the podcast to talk about how his business has changed, why knowing yourself and your strengths and weaknesses matters in business, what it takes to create a strong company culture, and his brand new book is out today. If you're listening in real time, November 18th, the book is out today. Now, Nate has been in the business for more than 30 years. Ever since his first appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2002, he has become one of the world's most recognizable interior designers. His work has been featured in publications including Architectural Digest, House Beautiful, Vogue, InStyle, O Magazine, and People. He's also a genuinely nice person, for reals, who truly is passionate about what he does and how he can best support the people that work for him and the clients that he works for. Nate has had several licensing partnerships and collections over the years, including with our very own show sponsor, Kravet. And speaking of Kravet right here, did you know that they are opening a new showroom in West Palm Beach, Florida this winter, 2026? And recent openings include Birmingham, Charleston, Watermill, New York, and Basking Ridge, New Jersey. Each showroom showcases an extensive selection of furniture, fabric, wallpaper, trim, and carpet samples through the innovative Kravet Workspace model, which is an interactive environment designed with cutting-edge technology and thoughtfully merchandised to mirror the way you work, whether that's by category or by color. So jot down this code, AWDB10, because you can use this code for 10% off any one order of Kravet fabric, wallpaper, or trim. That's AWDB10. All right, now let's hear from Nate about how his business has grown, his intentional company culture, and the lessons he's learned from running design firms in both New York and Chicago. Hi, Nate. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, Luann.
So, Nate, it's been a long time since we talked the first time on the podcast, and I'm going to link that in the show notes.
I'm excited to hear it again, actually. Was I an idiot?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm certain.
I'll be the judge of that. I want to hear it again.
I just said to you off air, and I won't go through it again, but there were so many nuggets of that first episode, and I'll leave it for the listeners to revisit again themselves, that I have literally repeated on the show over the years. Remember Nate Berkus told us, and remember Nate Berkus said this. I really enjoyed that first conversation, and I'm super excited to have you back for another one.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah. So now the occasion is a new book, Foundations.
Yes.
And we're gonna pick apart some things about the design studio and other stuff too, and what's going on with your collaborations and stuff. So starting with the book, I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is there something in you that you were like, I got to get this book out of me. It's burning in me. It's been building, simmering or whatever. Or was it like Simon & Schuster comes to you and says, dude, you'd be great to write a book. Let's do a book together. Like, what's the origin of that?
I love this because it's a really good origin and it's a really honest one.
Oh.
So this Foundations is not the book I wanted to write. It has become and evolved into my favorite book I've ever written. But my concept initially, and I thought this was so brilliant, Luann, I was so proud of myself. I said to Jan Miller, who has been my book agent for a million years, I said to Jan, I want to write a book that's kind of like those Phaidon guides to different cities, where they're skinny little books and they're $15 or $18 and they're divided by room. And I'll put everything into this little volume about kitchens. And that way, if someone's best friend is renovating their kitchen, they can buy this little book wherever and give it to them. Or if somebody is going to do their bathroom or decorate their living room, then they'll just buy the volume on living rooms. And I was like, I am a visionary. No one's ever done that in design. I mean, this is like, I should really check my Mensa score. And we went to the publishers, and Doris Cooper, who published the book, said to me, no, that is the worst idea I've ever heard, because do you have any idea the price of paper and how expensive it is to make 10 covers? Are you insane? Oh. So what I'm inviting you to do, sir, is take all of that information and put it in one book. And I said, wow, okay, I thought you were going to say it's a great idea. And could we do a second book that would be like some monograph that's gorgeous and 30 years of design projects and all of these things? And I was going to tell you that I don't want to write a monograph because I don't want a $150 book out on the market. I wanted an $18 mini skinny volume. And now how are we going to do this? Because I do not want to write a book that no one can afford. And my vision for this has always been, it's not about me. It's more of a thank you note back to every single person who's ever asked me a question, ever DM'd me a question, ever sent an email to the Oprah show in 1902, or bought a bath mat in 1907. And, I've been around. I want to take everything I've learned in the last 30 years, put it in one place. And if you say I have to put it in one cover, then I believe you, Doris. And that is what Foundations, that is the origin story.
Isn't that something, right?
It was so much fun. I mean, I was really convinced, though, that I had such a brilliant idea.
Well, isn't that the value of having, of working with experts, right? Like I say that on the show all the time. If you hire an expert, please don't but the expert, right? So you are
100%. I was like, you're right. Okay, let's go.
You're not a book publisher, right?
I'm not a book publisher. I'm not a book agent. I'm also not a book. I also said very openly, I worked with Heather Somerville, who used to have a huge career here in New York City in magazines. And Doris paired me with Heather, who lives in Atlanta, because I said to her, I have a lot to say, but I want this to be fun to read and easy to read. I don't know how to do the math of that. I cannot write the outline beyond intro, living rooms, common spaces, stairwells. No, that's boring. So what are the vehicles? I need the things that repeat. When you watch Downton Abbey, what are the things that, it's those bells ringing in the basement kitchen and something's going down. Like, somebody has to make this formula for me and I'll fill it with everything I can. Yeah. And so that's really how the book came to be. And what's been so fun for me is that it is my third book. We blew it. We used all the imagery that everyone told me to save for my big monograph that will probably never happen now. But I couldn't figure out how to give people the actual practical information without showing them how I've used that information over the last 30 years. So I had to use all the photography that I owned, and I had to do I had to publish the projects that people had never seen before. I was obliged to because it's a visual business.
Yes. Well, and I guess there's something that you might have kept it on the back shelf for, but it's your book now. I mean,
You know
right?
what? And I want to go out and talk about it. And I know this book, and I recorded the audio book, which I thought was really stupid because I was like, what is this? Like, it's
What's
got
the audio without the visuals?
exactly. I was like,
right?
this makes no sense. But the audiobook producer was like, no, do it because it's a lot about philosophy and it's a lot about a different way of thinking. And they're going to listen to the audiobook and then just go buy the book.
Yes.
So it's really been an interesting process. I'm 53. My kids are 10 and 7. I opened a design firm, a branch of my own firm. I had never had an office in New York City. I opened it right before COVID. So I come to work every day. And I will tell you, this book hits a little differently than the first two. I walked in, it was delivered last week. Doris Cooper came downtown to bring it to my office. And I walk in and it sits on the table as you walk into our beautiful workspace here on Lower Fifth Avenue. And I think to myself, wow, it almost killed the team. There were moments where I was like, oh, I cannot possibly talk about hardware and dig through this archive of imagery of cabinets and to show people what style this is and why I think they should think about old fireplace mantles and how to accessorize the fireplaces and coffee, all the things we added. But I'm so glad we did.
So how long of a process was it in the making when you say it almost killed
2 years?
2 years.
2 years. I mean, it took me 20 minutes to sell it and 2 years to do it.
And so when you think about that process, so you're talking about finding all the archive images and all that stuff, was it like a brain dump for you? Like you're coming and you're working with Heather and you're like, these are all the things that I think about this philosophy, this thing. And then she's just like questioning you and helping you refine it and then getting it into a through line for you that made sense?
Yes, and it was like a series of interviews where Heather would just say to me, let's talk about living rooms.
Yep.
And then she'd say, well, what would you tell people to spend money on? What would you tell them to save money on?
Yeah.
So we have where to spend, where to save at the end of every section. We realized quite quickly that we needed to reshoot and shoot for the first time several projects around the country to include in the book. The work became important to show. And so Kelly, who is on my team and has been for longer than she cares to admit, she produced 8 photo shoots in 6 different cities in 6 weeks with different photographers and different stylists, all the while texting me saying, is this what you meant by the angle of this foyer? I mean, I'm a Virgo. I know I have a photographic memory. I know everything at all times. And Kelly says I don't know everything. Again, we've worked together many years, but she says, unfortunately, I remember everything.
Great distinction on her part.
Which is probably harder.
Yeah, but that's a great distinction on her part. She's like, don't get ahead of yourself there. You don't
exactly.
know
She's
everything.
Like, you're not
you
a
remember
genius,
everything.
dude, but you do remember stuff.
That's a great line. So then, okay, so now, obviously, as we are recording, the book is not available to the public yet. It's coming out November 18th, and that's when we can all get our hands on it. So with all of that said, what would you tell? This is an audience of interior designers, not homeowners or design enthusiasts, but working interior designers. What would you tell them that, what's in it for them? What do you think they're going to appreciate or enjoy or maybe understand a nuance that a regular design enthusiast consumer might miss?
Listen, it really wasn't written for the established design community.
Right.
It was written for the general public.
Right.
That was who I was focused on, obviously. Do I think for emerging designers and fans of your podcast who want to come and listen to people like me who have been doing this for 30 years, that there's a lot that they should be listening to that is within the pages of Foundations? 100%.
Yeah.
It's really more, it's a marriage of fact with philosophy and my interpretation. And, everything's been said in every design book. But what I tried to do is make it really digestible, make it fun to read. Even the design of the book, designers will appreciate. I use 3 materials on the cover because I care what a coffee table book looks like on a coffee table.
Right.
It's a coffee table book. So I don't need a photo of me. Yeah, I don't need my face, my big face. Right. So, we talked about that, and I said, we always use grass cloth and white oak herringbone and veiny black marble. Let's just do the cover of the book in 3 sections of those materials. I want it simple. I want it clean. And then, I also would say, I think for the design community, I mean, I look at everybody else's work. I would like to think that people are interested in my work. So there are projects in the book that no one's ever seen before. There is imagery in the book that was previously unpublished. And I do think that I've always believed that design is at least 80% communication. I like having different references and understanding how other people present things and think about things and sell things and position things and concepts. So, maybe that will be something for designers as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, my experience talking with so many designers at High Point on the podcast, all the different things is, designers appreciate other designers' coffee table books. I mean,
100%.
Yeah, totally.
I pore over them.
Yes.
That's 85% of my library.
Exactly. Because you do understand and learn different things. So I'm curious, what did you learn? In other words, as you were doing your own self-exploration about all these each individual areas that you originally wanted and visualize as separate books, and Heather's asking you and prodding you, were there things, Nate, that you either said, that's a theme in my work over the years that maybe I wasn't consciously aware of, or no, I keep knowing this thing and this is how it keeps showing up. Anything?
Yeah,
any ahas
it was
for you?
the latter.
Okay.
Most definitely it was the latter. I've been saying for the greater part of my career, your home should tell your story. And the way you do that is through your things. And then that became like marketing speak for skin cream and chewing tobacco and pet collars. And I was like, wait, what? Tell your story with this new neck brace. I was like, what's happening? So I evolved my messaging very intentionally to say your home should represent who you are, who you've been, and who you aspire to be. And as I worked through 30 years of work and 30 years of mistakes and 30 years of commonalities within these projects and these points and my point of view, what really became apparent to me was that the way that you do that is actually there's a path that anyone can take to get there. It's embracing history and looking to the past for things that really matter and elements and ideas that you can apply in a modern space for modern life. It was deep personalization, asking all those questions I ask off the cuff. You're off the cuff too. You know what I'm talking about. But like, I'll be with somebody in their house and they could have $20 million to spend, or they could have $20 to spend. But I still want to know what they love they've got. And I still want to know where they're from and where they're from culturally, where their family history is. What's that story? Is there a South American connection? Is there a Eastern European connection? Is there I found out that like one of my clients says her grandfather was a huge Hong Kong legendary business person, and she looks like my daughter, and I was like, wait, what? And I was like so fascinated, and like went into this absolute deep dive, and I was like, is there anything from his house in London that we can use in this apartment in New York? And is there Chinese ceramics? Is there, like, what do we have? What do we have?
Yeah.
And she was like, God, you're more excited about like this part of my family history than I am. I'm like, because you're 27.
Yeah.
And somebody should walk into your house and you don't need to tell them everything about yourself. You're not obliged to do that. But they should see. And like my whole office was like, what is going on with your searches on auction sites for Chinese pottery? Like, where are you going? What's happening? We've never seen you care so much. I'm like, give me a minute. So listen, it's all within reason. And sometimes it's nods and sometimes it's the vestiges of some sort of concept or some cultural connection or something. But without asking yourselves those questions, what really are you living in?
Yeah.
You're living in what?
A model home, right? Like, if
At
anybody
best,
could live
you're
there.
living in a model home.
Yeah, exactly.
Typically, you're living in, a home that is ignored,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you've just let kind of it can't be a priority. You can't do it well. You can't have fun doing it. You can't think about how to do it well. So then you just don't do it. It's
Yeah.
like me with I'm never trying a recipe.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
Me either.
No, it sounds horrible.
I know. There's enough restaurants for us to go
A
to. Right?
1,000%. And my husband cooks. I'm not like
Awesome.
if I said I was gonna like make a meatloaf, the entire family would walk out. I wouldn't eat it.
I got to send Vinny to hang out with Jeremiah. One of us we don't have anybody in our house who cooks.
Oh, you don't? I'm sorry. It's
Yeah,
great.
I know.
I do follow him around though with counter spray. So I do my part.
I should clarify. You have little kids. I cooked until my youngest went to college. Then I'm like, the kitchen is
Oh, well,
gross.
you are so
Yeah,
off the hook.
yeah.
My mother never cooked anyway.
Oh no, I did. When the youngest went to college, I'm like, that's it. Kitchen. As a matter of fact, I just had my new monogram refrigerator delivered yesterday. It has been broken since May.
No.
It is October. Yeah, I didn't even order it until August.
Were you home?
Oh yeah, we live there. I'm just like, whatever.
Oh my God.
In August, my husband said to me, he goes, the one thing I really miss is cold water in the refrigerator.
That is hilarious because that's all that's in there probably.
No, because the refrigerator is for cold water and leftovers.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so we don't put any leftovers anymore.
Right. We don't get to have leftovers. Leftovers are my favorite because I grew up with a mom that couldn't cook.
Oh, see, I don't eat
love
leftovers, so I don't care.
Oh, you don't?
No, I can't do leftovers.
Anything covered in tinfoil in a refrigerator is like fair game for me.
Oh, no.
I don't even care what it is. Really? Jer won't touch it either.
No, isn't that funny? People are different ways. Vinny loves leftovers. I hate them. But here's the thing.
Funny?
The one day a year I cook is Christmas Eve. I do the Italian 7 fish.
Yum.
And so in August, I was like, all right, girl, you're going to need a refrigerator. Right.
That's so great.
Don't think I didn't have a moment of, well, it'll be cold enough outside. No, stop. You need a refrigerator.
I love going to Italian friends for that.
Yeah.
I especially love when they have a second kitchen in the basement with a nonna making pasticcio or whatever. That is my real favorite thing. Because then you get to eat what a 4-year-old would eat, and then you go upstairs and eat what a grown-up would eat, and then you go back down. Like, there's nothing more exciting to me than noodles with butter downstairs and something else upstairs.
So true.
It's so great.
Family.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway. All right. So here's the thing. I know that a big part of your career has been the collaborations and the associations, the branding, the licensing, all the different things. Did any of these play a part into the book, or is the book just like it's separate for that? Like, it's funny.
No, the book,
seen it yet, right?
Yeah, the book's pure. In that way, and that was by intention. I've always been really careful with that. You're right. I've had product with my name on it in mass retail for 25 years.
Yeah.
And I like to think I know what I'm doing, and I keep expanding different partnerships, and I've got a million exciting things about going on with that part of my business right now. But it does bleed in. I'm the epicenter of it all, the ideas, what's interesting to me, what waves I'm sort of catching with eras and designers and makers and craft and things like that all play a part in obviously in the book, the design firm and the products. But, I am really careful to protect myself editorially. I'm never obliged to only talk about something I've designed or only use my own things in a TV makeover. I would have lost credibility with the American consumer day two.
Yeah, that's like you're it's not for sale. Your creative
It's
isn't for
not,
sale.
that's not on the block. And what that's done is that it's helped me maintain my reputation, which is more valuable than any of this other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
No,
where
it's
that's
true.
where I'm at with that.
It's true. Now, it's funny because in the first time we talked a little bit about the design firm, and you had a right-hand person that was running that design firm. I think she shows up on your website now. Is that the same woman that would have
It
been there?
is.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me her name again.
Lauren Buxbaum Gordon,
Lauren. Yeah.
and she just published her house in Elle Decor. It was on the cover of Elle Decor.
Wow.
It is the only other house in the United States of America that I could move her stuff out of her closet, put my workout shorts and my jackets right in there, and go to bed.
Wow.
I like her
You guys
food
are
better
just
than
so
me.
aligned. You're just so
Yeah.
aligned.
Well, I like her pantry better than mine. I like her laundry room better than mine. But she, we're very aligned. We've worked together almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And, the truth is that at that point, you're family. I made her a partner in the firm. She's the first partner I've ever had. Wow. She runs the Chicago office and runs her own projects. And she's just she's got excellent taste. She's got an excellent eye. We do push each other in different directions, which I love. But she's also just a great leader. She really celebrates everybody that works with her, for her, with her. She knows what's going on in everybody's lives. She highlights people's talents and figures out how to mitigate what they're not great at. She's just great. She's a great person.
It's not an easy thing what she does. And you're talking, you're describing how good she is at it. But that is one of the struggles. Many designers listening are, growing their firms beyond themselves, 4, 5, 6 people. And one of the things I often, get questioned on is, managing people. It's no joke, right? And so, she's got a skill set for it. Do you also get involved in that, or that's her domain, managing all of that?
I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Can I tell you what I did?
Yeah.
What I did is that I decided that I wanted an office in New York. And I decided that I, in my infinite wisdom and years of experience, would do great at hiring and assembling the team. And so I went out and I hired everybody I thought was great. And about a year later, I called Phoebe, who runs the company, all offices, and I called her. She lives in Chicago, and I said, I just don't know what's going on. Culturally, it's not the same. Everybody's obsessed with this title or this thing, and I just don't think that people are happy, and I'm not used to it. Like maybe I don't. What do you think went wrong? And she said, you.
Your team just
you did a terrible job. You should not be hiring people. You're terrible at it. You like somebody's sweater and you think they're going to be a good project manager. You're the worst person for that role. And I said, why didn't you tell me? She said, I tried. You're not coming back at me for that. So we had a little rejig in the New York office, and we realized as well that I don't run an office as smoothly as Lauren does. I run an office that's fun, and I bring my dog, and I like to laugh, and I want to know what everyone's eating for lunch. But Lauren does all those things, and everybody's doing everything they need to do and happy to do it. Yeah. So we had to merge the cultures, and that was the big lesson. How to reconnect and have everybody working. We couldn't just be on autopilot, the 10 people and I in New York City.
Right. And have you look, you're telling the story. Of course, it's funny as you're telling the
It
story,
is funny.
but I also put myself in the position of being a leader, having 10 people, having a payroll, having, a studio, and really going to bed at night going, this isn't working. Like, I have a company that works and this one's not working. That's not so fun. So when you brought it to Phoebe and Phoebe pointed out to you, hey, dude, you screwed it up.
Yeah.
In your evaluation and in the rejiggering of the team and watching what Phoebe and Lauren probably did to impact and put the right people in place, what were there key things or anything that you learned about yourself? Like, I'm really good here, but in specific, that's why I wasn't like there's usually a visionary and an integrator in a
What?
relationship.
Yes.
Is Lauren
Yes.
like a combo visionary integrator, or is she all integrator and you're visionary? Like,
Well, she's a visionary creatively, I think. I
yeah,
think that, you have to be. But I think that I'm not an integrator at all. How's
yeah,
that?
she's got that COO brain
She's got
and the
that.
other brain.
Yes. And I don't know how to integrate anything. And I think my great lesson from that, and yes, it's funny and flip, and I'm being very flippant about it, but I will say my great lesson from that is that I took 30 years and empowered people under me and next to me to build a culture that everyone wanted to be a part of, and thought I could recreate and ignite that same culture without involving all of them on a day-to-day basis. And that just can't happen.
Right, right, right.
And so what I love now is that, like, all of the project management comes out of our Chicago offices. So the New York team is interacting daily, multiple times a day, with the Chicago-based project management team. And then we have one person here in the New York office who reports all the boots on the ground things to the person that heads that department. It's a big company. There's 50 people here. We've got a lot of people across 3 states. And so, I'm the softie. I'm like, oh, she had a bad day. They're like, what are you talking about? Do you know how many vacation days that person took? Like, and you think they have cute shoes? You're a bad boss. Get it together.
Well, it's look, it's like anything else, right? It's like, the good cop, the bad cop in the movies. It's the parent, the disciplinarian and the
Right.
softie. It's, but what it is for me, we understand the 2 roles and lots of things like that: good cop, bad cop, parent, disciplinarian,
Sure.
and the softie. But we forget that dynamic has to be present in our business too. There has to be, and we think if we're one and we're the owner, it's going to be the way we do it. But if somebody's not willing to be the bad cop, or if somebody's only the bad cop and somebody's not willing to say, you have a great sweater and how was your weekend, that's just as bad. Nobody wants to work for that person.
It's just as bad.
Right.
And, it's interesting because I relate it very much to parenthood. My children, as I said, are 10 and 7. They, without Jeremiah, they would be animals. He is the consistent one. He is the one that will not tolerate lies and wants honesty and will, runs the tightest ship. And when he was filming Queer Eye last summer in Washington, D.C., and I was alone with the kids, for stretches at a time.
Chaos, right?
I was like, yeah, we should have ice cream it sounds great. Like, I want ice cream. Let's go have ice cream, which is exactly how my father was, which is exactly how I remember me going to my dad's offices in Southern California and walking around and seeing all the people that worked for my father and him joking around and laughing and, teasing people and all these things. And then going and sitting down by his desk and no one had a question for him.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, isn't that odd that he doesn't,
Because he
no
had
one
a Warren
needs
who was
him?
actually running everything, right?
Exactly. I mean, far less attractive Lauren. I think his name was Doug, but still, like, it was, I was like, wow. So listen, I come by it honestly. How's that?
That's it.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? Those are, look at how many years you're in business and you have a lesson in the last 5 years when you open up a new branch of your company.
Absolutely.
Right.
Listen, look, I was integral in the beginning of the culture of this firm. I didn't want it to be overly corporate, but then I also had very high expectations. I didn't want, I found that for me, for the firm, if somebody was well educated and well traveled, they tended to be a better designer, design assistant. If they had any familiarity around the world of that,
Right.
that they could step into that role, wouldn't be intimidated by clients as easily.
Right.
And then I realized, like, is that real? Like, is that a real thing? Because
Right.
then some people started stepping in who just had incredible work ethics and were really smart and weren't going to take anybody's stuff anyway, but also were extremely dedicated to doing the best job possible. So then I changed it and I was like, you know who I'm shopping for? I'm shopping for people who have an incredible work ethic and an incredible sense of pride in everything they do.
Yes.
And it became, well, if they're writing typos in the interview process, then they're not going to get hired.
Exactly.
Because how can you do that? And so, listen, we learn still every day.
Yeah.
I've done this 30 years. I'm ready for the next lesson.
I know.
I'm sure it'll smack me across the head.
And it'll come. Another one will come, right?
100%.
But I think that's also the resilience of being a multi-decade entrepreneur. It's the hard lessons still come. We don't fall to our knees so much anymore. We might have a moment where, like, dang it, that was a hard one. But I, at least speaking for myself, I don't get shocked when I get a comeuppance. I'm just like,
right.
okay.
Nor do I.
Figure it out. Right. Yeah. Just figure it out. Like, keep it moving, you know. And
my stepdad used to say when I was growing up, everything comes out in the wash.
Yeah.
Just remember, it might take a few tries, might not be using the right stuff, but you'll find the right stuff and it'll come out.
Yeah.
And you'll wear it again.
Exactly.
So I always think about that.
That's good.
In business
now,
and in everything.
Yeah. And when you opened up the firm in New York 5 years ago, was that because you wanted to have more involvement with design again and having, because I remember when I spoke to you the first time, we kind of talked about how Lauren and the team were handling probably 70% of the projects. And I don't think we attached a percentage. I'm just from memory. It felt like you were like, I take on the major projects. I take on my repeat clients and things. But yeah, I don't have my hand on every darn thing that happens here. And was the New York office like, are you wanting to get back into design on a day-to-day level-ish?
Yes. It was also, I didn't have an office. I had a place that I called my office, but I never went to an office for the greater part of probably 15 years.
Oh.
I didn't go to work every day. I would come in and then I'd leave, or I'd come in for a meeting or a presentation and then I'd leave. No one banked on me being in the same location ever.
Right.
Many years that was because I was doing TV makeovers and I'd be in 10 different cities in the same month. Some years it was because I was dating somebody who lived in Europe and so I was there. Sometimes it was because I was dealing with all these product partnerships and I was going to Minneapolis a million times when I was working with Target so closely. Mm-hmm. No day was ever the same for me for a great, great number of years. Okay. And then I got married and then I had children and then children were babies. And that really worked, by the way, to get on a plane and fly somewhere for 24 hours and come home and be home in time for bottle or whatever it was, and be in the pool with the kids at 3:00 in the afternoon while my husband was trying to build a firm from scratch. Like that worked for really well while the kids were babies. Little. And then Oskar went to nursery school. Yeah. And then I was alone all day. Jeremiah was busy. He had a million projects. He had a beautiful office that he went to every day. And he left me in the house and I was like, I'm turning into my dad post-retirement. Like, what am I going to do? Like, buy things on eBay and pad around in a robe? I was like, this is awful. So I wanted to open the New York office because I wanted a place to go and I wanted to reconnect with the firm. Yeah. I've done that. Of the New York projects, 95% of them are me at the lead creatively. Wow. Of the Chicago projects, probably 10%, And of the outside Chicago projects, I would say 50.
Wow.
So, Lauren works beautifully with her clients, but those are her projects. She comes to me if she has a question. I go to her when I am stuck on something conceptually, or I
Yeah.
think I like something, but I'm not sure. We have a second hand that's very easy for us to navigate. But I am most definitely the awareness of everything project to project. I mean, I know when somebody's backsplash broke when it was being delivered now. I didn't know that for
Yeah.
years, and I
Yeah.
know it again.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because you know what? So many of the seasons of our lives are attached to if we've got kids. Like I said, I cooked, every freaking day for 100 years and ran a business. And when the last one went to college, I'm like, it's closed. Right. And so it was the opposite for you. You're like, I'm here. I'm going to be in this town. I'm going to be doing the things here. I'm going to be on the schedule. And it has to do with littles. So why not? It's funny because in the first interview, I remember you describing your cadence. And to your point, you were doing a lot with Target then and a lot of the other things. And however, in your words, you described it, what we heard was that little bit of that, whatever that percentage was of the involvement in the projects, right? And I remember asking you a question, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to ask him this question, and he may say to me, I'm not answering this question. And I thought, well, I always warn everybody, just like I warned you, I'm going to ask you anything I want. You can say to me at any point, no, I don't want to answer it. And I remember asking, and I was terrified to ask you because I thought I didn't want you to think, it's funny. I'm an interviewer and I didn't want you to think I was being nosy. Okay. So I'm like, this is like for the benefit of the designers listening. Right. And I asked you, I said, at this point, it's clear you can choose to be on or off any project you want. You had just talked about Lauren and how spectacular she was and special and the talent alignment and everything. And I said, why are you on any projects at this point? And I didn't know what the hell you were going to say. And I have repeated this so many times to people because I thought it was so good. Do you remember what you said?
Can I guess what I said?
Oh, that'd be fun.
I think I probably said that it keeps me connected to everything else that I do.
Exactly.
And that if I'm not boots on the ground, digging through fabrics and understanding stone slabs and what's going on, then I can't really do anything else that I do.
It's exactly what you said. It's
Yeah,
exactly
and
what
that's
you
still
said.
true today.
I remember thinking, gosh, that's so brilliant. It's like whether you're designing a high-end luxury line for a designer, trade source or a Target line, how do you know what the market needs if you're not
if
in
you're
the
not
market?
in the market?
Yeah, and I remember.
Well, and also, if somebody said to me years ago, and it wasn't you, and they were rude, and they said to me, "Why do you do this still? You've got all this money coming in from licensing, we imagine, and publishing and TV, and you're film producer, and you have your hand in all this stuff. Like, why do you listen to somebody complain about their sofa being laid? Like, what's the point?" And I that's where that answer was born from, because it actually stopped me and I had to think about it.
Wow.
And I was like, wait, why am I doing this? This is really like, is this dumb? I was like, what's happening here? But I knew in that moment, it was so many years ago too, that I was posed that question in that way.
Yeah.
And I knew in that moment when I was answering that actually was the real answer.
Yeah.
I spend like so much time on sourcing. Sourcing is my real love. Like, I want to know who's the craftspeople are, who the woodworkers are, who the metal forgers are. I want to know who they are now in Brooklyn and St. Louis, and I want to know who they were in Paris in the 1930s. And I want to collect the examples of that and use the old stuff to inspire the new. So it's like all very connected. And Jeremiah thinks that I should go to Gamblers Anonymous because I lay next to him in bed on Live Auctioneers every night, and I bid on all these things for me and us and clients.
It's for you. This one's for you, Jeremiah.
Yeah, this is going to be. You didn't want a Baroque pearl for no reason. Isn't it cool though? Look at the mounting. I mean, literally like a crazy person. But he And I said to him one day, I was like, I have to tell you, you're probably right. There is an element of gambling involved in bidding on auctions worldwide. I get that. It's also research.
Mm.
And I love, love, love nothing more because I started in the auction business.
Mm.
So those trucks that used to pull up to the back of the regional auction house, that the best regional auction house in Chicago at the time that I worked for, those are the auctions that come up online now where you can see either like the estate of Iris Apfel is at auction right now.
Whoa.
And I knew Iris. I was friends with Iris. We had mutual friends. I've been to that apartment, but I didn't know what was in her dish cabinets.
Right.
Every pattern of porcelain that Iris Apfel used is published right now at Malaya Brothers. It's an auction house here. I, you know, it turns out Iris Apfel and I had the same Richard Ginori plates in a pattern that's discontinued.
Wow.
I want to know that.
Yes. Yes.
And when a client says to me, you mentioned how full service you are, that you'll have the linen closets filled and everything will be folded the same way. And could you recommend a really good porcelain service for us for fancy? I want to know what to recommend.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know and I
Yeah.
have to have that knowledge. I love that knowledge. So in many ways now, with like this world of online shopping, at first it was really uncomfortable for me. I started the Oprah makeovers on a flip phone
Mm.
and post-it notes in the Ballard Designs catalog. Now we have access to absolutely everything we want, but it's not just consuming those things, it's learning
Mm.
about them
Yeah.
and seeing all of the perspectives that went into someone else building an interior for a life well lived.
Mm.
That's interesting to me. I feel like Jane Goodall.
Yeah. Archaeologist. Anthropologist, right?
Yep.
Anthropologist, yeah. Well, it's funny because, Nate, at this point, I've done more than 1,400 interviews in almost 10 years. And I can tell you that regardless of the level of success I've interviewed everybody from a kid that's been in business in her own design firm 6 months
Yep.
to iconic people like yourself to everybody in between. The thing that I've noticed is there is something different about a certain subset of you guys that I've interviewed where the passion is so deep to that connection to the past, to the source, to the anthropology of it, to the history of it, to the why behind it, to the artisan behind it. It doesn't come up it comes up in about 10 to 15% of the interview.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's always the person that it's important to. Their design work is always elevated. It's always different. Whether they're a Nate
It's better.
Berkus, whether
No,
they're a
it
Nate
doesn't matter.
Berkus or they're
Yep.
somebody in their own pond.
Yep.
Do you know in New York City, are you familiar with either Leighton Lewis or Charles Pavarini, either of these designers?
Yeah.
Yeah. These are two men that have this same passion.
Yep.
I've had the privilege of working with both of them, doing their window treatments over the years at various times. And they come to my mind always because they're my friends, not just,
Yep.
you know what I mean? But from the very beginning, going back 20 years ago, being on projects with them and measuring, and like my other company was a custom window treatment and awning company. And, the attention to detail, like when you talk about like a Baroque pearl XYZ, definitely Leighton or Charles would be on a project, their own project. They don't work together. And you'd be like, Luann, there is this chair leg that I saw on this, at the Metropolitan, that beat and you see the way it turns there. We've got to figure out how to get a finial that looks like that. And I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus.
But don't you think that applies even outside of design? When you know somebody or talk to somebody that loves wine,
Yeah.
doesn't the wine taste a little bit better when you've like
They teach you
when,
about it. What are you
yes,
supposed to taste?
like
What is
when
it supposed
somebody,
to
right,
smell like?
and then all of a sudden you do,
Yeah.
you do taste vanilla and
Yes.
you're like, wait, that's what that is. Wow. Or even the other day I met this really adorable person. She bought David Webb, the rights to the jeweler David Webb, and I love estate jewelry. It's another passion of mine. I think I'm drawn to it because for the same reason I love furniture and decoration. Like I love the combination of the materials and the workmanship, and there's something that really clicks for me in that. And I was invited to the David Webb uh, on Madison Avenue, but upstairs is where they make all of the jewelry.
Wow.
And I didn't know that. The little ovens that they bake the enamel in are all on Fifth Avenue or Madison Avenue on the third floor or whatever floor it is. And I was in that archive looking at all these pieces that have come from movie stars and Indian maharajas and kings and queens and they own it all again, and the actual physical pieces of jewelry there. And then I went into the workshops to watch how they were assembling these things and building these cuffs and pendants and all these things. And there's a guy there that works there here in New York named Levi Higgs, and he's the historian. And I could talk to him for 30 years. He said, well, actually, this emerald came out of this tiara and David Webb reset it in 1965, and it belonged to this Marjorie Merriweather Post. But everyone who's had this has, it's unbelievable. And so when there's a passion like that and a curiosity, a genuine curiosity,
Yeah.
about the period, about the culture, about the time, about the combination, about the materiality of something, the history of something. I always think about the fact that, like, in art school, they tell you're not allowed to really like attempt a portrait until you have perfected painting an apple. So if you can't paint an apple well, you can't paint a face, I guess, is the extrapolation. But I always think about that. If I'm going to design and sell a bath mat for $12 or whatever, shouldn't my feet have been on a bath mat for 500? And shouldn't I have also walked on a bath mat for 6?
Yes.
And so that's kind of, for me, how I move through all of it, how all of it is connected for me. I feel like it's my responsibility to know.
That's smart. It's smart. It's smart business too, by the way, right? But you know what it reminds me of? And I know you'll probably go right there. When you were talking about like visiting the David Webb place and where all the history and all that, that reminds me of Scott Kravitz. Like you get Scott,
totally. The
you get
archive
Scott
of
talking,
Kravitz.
you go to that studio archive with him.
God,
like
it's
you said, 30
unbelievable.
years. He just is like, he just lights up, right?
Well, and that what was interesting is that, listen, one of the challenges of launching this career publicly of my career was on TV was that there was a lot of snobbery for a long time around a TV decorator versus a real decorator. And I wasn't included on a lot of lists early on, even though I was doing, I thought, pretty decent work. and then Margaret Russell put me on the cover of Elle Decor. And then Margaret Russell put me on the cover of Architectural Digest. And they were two of the best-selling issues that they'd ever had. Wow. That was per them.
Yeah.
That broke something in the sort of snobby design community, because maybe my work wasn't as refined as, who knows? Yeah. There's everybody, you can't look over your shoulder, obviously, in any situation, except the subway. But I will say that it was challenging for me because I didn't really get a lot of respect or recognition from the design community, because I was like a TV decorator who sold things at wherever, HSN, Target, Linens and Things, Amazon, you name it. But slowly the work, I think, started to evolve and speak for itself. And that was when, for me, I realized that you can do all of it.
Yeah.
It's okay to do it all. Yeah. And it's okay to remain consistent in what your belief system is around all of it. Yeah. And that's just fine.
Yeah. And also, I have to believe that regardless of what was being said or murmured, you knew who you were at your core. You knew you weren't smoke and mirrors. You knew that it wasn't, like when
I
somebody,
did.
yeah,
I wasn't insecure about that.
exactly. And when somebody tells me if I'm going to make a $12 rug, I know I need to know what a $500 rug feels like and a $6 rug. That's a smart business person combining his creative with an actual actionable thing, right? Like it's just when you have it all going on, when you have that passion and that drive and then that curiosity and then that little touch of business acumen, that's when the magic happens. I feel like that's when the
Yeah.
sparks all come.
Well, listen, the other thing too is I would say, Luann, is that, the world's changed since I started my career. Most definitely the design industry has changed. Look at Instagram.
Yeah.
There's a million people on Instagram constantly. I feel the same way. Like, listen, the more conversation around design, around interiors, around furniture, around styling, around all of it, I think is great. What annoys me is when there are these people who actually aren't designers, who have no understanding of scale, who have never assembled or installed a project which has 6,500 elements at minimum that have to be coordinated all perfectly,
Right.
from construction to furniture to accessories to all of that thing. They've never done it, but they've edited a beautiful Instagram feed. And that does not a designer make.
No.
A real designer. So just as people used to be like, ugh, he's a TV designer, now I'm like, ugh, they're an Instagram designer. And I should have probably been a little bit more hesitant
Well,
to
there's
write.
probably some good ones in there, is
There
the
are for
point,
sure
but
some good
not
ones in
all.
there, and I'm certainly not the only TV decorator that made it into the National Design Shelter magazines. But I will say this, because the world has changed, and because the industry has gotten so much larger, and because brands and large companies are taking risks by developing lines with people
Mhm.
from Instagram, and the market is
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah.
When I started, it was like Martha or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what you had. It
Yeah.
was Martha, not to the trade. It was literally Martha or not.
Right.
And what is, because the world is different, I will tell you probably the biggest lesson I've learned, and I'm not even sure I needed to learn it because I think I've always known it. Grace goes a long way. You
Mm.
never want to be the person on someone's schedule. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a team of merchants or a towel buyer or a client or a vendor. You never want to be the person on someone's schedule where they've got a 3 hour or 2 hour or whatever block with you and your name shows up on their phone and they think to themselves, oh,
Yeah.
this is going to be a long day.
That's the truth.
I strive so hard still and will never stop that somebody knows that I'm coming to Boston or I'm going to be in their headquarters all day, and they're
And
going to
they're
have a great
looking
time.
forward to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's the truth. I appreciate that. That's such a smart thing. I mean, my goodness, I feel like I asked you 4 of the questions, but I've had you here for an hour.
Oh no, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
And I am a run-on sentence.
No, it's just that there's so much good stuff here, but I was alerted by your team, but we had a hard stop, and I do not want to be the person on your calendar the next time.
Oh, see, I'll be
where
like that,
where
Luann.
you say, I can't
Always
go there.
takes more.
She doesn't
Take.
observe boundaries.
Not at all.
No, I appreciate your taking your time to be here with us, Nate. I mean, it's a funny thing. Everybody that listens to my show knows that one of my lines is, I don't care about the pretty. I expect you to do a beautiful room. I want to know if you're running the business well, right? Because I don't care how pretty you can make the room. If you can't make money on it, you can't sustain it. You can't make a lifestyle. You can't have your employees. None of it works. And if you're not pricing projects and making money, then you're teaching the consumers that the design doesn't have a value. So the thing is, because I'm so focused on the business, I don't think people realize that I truly do appreciate time with iconic people like yourself. I am a regular human that is just as on.
That is really funny.
So,
but you know what? Listen, I think that you're in service to a great many people. And I think that, the opportunities that I've had over my career to meet graduates from NYSID or go and speak to a graduating class and at design schools. And the one thing that I say that is like you say, it is so much more important. It really doesn't matter if your ducks aren't in a row, and it doesn't matter if you have a weird shady billing practice. You're never going to get anywhere. And and I'd like to add to that, if you're a fake snob,
Yeah.
no one wants to be around you.
No.
They're not hiring you to be intimidated or you're so fabulous and they love your belt.
Yeah.
They don't, that's me, the mistake I make when I'm hiring people. They want somebody that they want to hang out with.
Yeah.
And that's fun, but knows their stuff.
That knows their stuff, and that they're running the business profitably. So when they want to come back in 2 or 5 or 10 years, you're still in business because you're running it profitably, right? Yeah.
Of course. And that you're helping build other people's careers.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the definite thing. Well, I swear to goodness, thank you so much, Nate. Really, I really
that was super fun. I love being back. Will you send me the original interview from 10 years ago?
I will.
Because I want to listen to it. God only knows what I said. So,
thank you.
All right. Thanks again.
I've had, more than 1,400 conversations in almost 10 years at this point on this podcast. And from garden variety humans just like me, doing hard days of work, all the way to icons like Nate Berkus. But the thing is, some people stick with you. And the way Nate shows up in a conversation that first time and this time, it hits you, right? The clarity about his work and his business. So to have him on the show again today really felt very special for me. I hope you enjoyed it too. And here's a couple of things that stood out to me in this conversation. It's clear he has grown into his role as a leader, like fully sitting in it, right? This wasn't a conversation about fabrics and finishes. It was about identity. It's about knowing who you are, what you value, and how you build a business that reflects that. And I don't just mean your logo or your Instagram grid, right? It's your systems, your decisions, and for Nate, it's the people. There was a moment in the episode when Nate said, "My job is to create an environment where people can do their best work." I mean, just stop and think about that. He didn't say, "My job is to make every decision. My job is to approve every detail." He said his job, your job, my job, is to build an environment. That means creating structure. It means hiring people who are better than you at what they do. It means when you find them, get out of their way, right? So if you're new in business, you might not know this yet, might not see this coming yet, because you're still in the phase of doing all the things yourself. We've all been there. You're going to be there, and that's fine. But tuck this nugget away from Nate for later. Because once you start growing, your success will depend on how well you let go, right? How well you build the right team, not just any team, right? So that's an important thing. Now, I'm just going to take a minute because this is why my cousin Eileen and Han and I created the Dream Team Toolkit, because we've seen too many designers wait too long and go past this part and skip it. This will walk you through writing a job description that reflects your business, hiring with clarity, and setting up your team to succeed from day one. All right. You can get that under resources on my website. Now, if you've been at this for a while, you probably caught the more subtle point that Nate made about leadership being personal, about understanding yourself so that you can lead others well. Right? That's the kind of insight that comes with experience. And I hope it landed for you. It landed with me. I appreciated that insight. I thought it was really, really good. Now, if you're listening to this episode in real time, I told you in the intro, Nate's new book, Foundations, came out today, literally today, November 18th, 2025. This is more than a design book. It's personal. It's personal for Nate. It's about meaning, memory, and story. It's about what it feels like to live in a space that truly reflects who you are. Nate said he wrote this book to show not just what he's created, but why it matters in that creation, right? So please head over to the links and order your copy today. I'm sure you're going to love it. I have my copy. He sent me one already. I'm super excited. It's a beautiful book, and I've been reading it, and I'm enjoying every single moment of it. Now, If you want to revisit Nate's first conversation, please go back. If you've missed it somehow, some way, episode number 433, right? We'll link it in the show notes. It'll give you a sense of how consistent Nate has been in his values, even though he's grown, right? So if you are in a place where you're trying to build a team, great lessons from here. And I love when there's distance apart with guests like this, because when you see that through line, the core values are there, they show up, but you still see the growth. It's kind of a cool moment, right? So now, if today's conversation with Nate has inspired you to layer more story and more soul into your projects, into your company, then we have a resource for you. Nate Berkus's collaboration with Kravit, the Well-Traveled Collection. It's everything you'd expect. Rich textures, global inspiration, and materials that feel like they lived a life before landing in your project. Think of it as a passport to pattern without leaving your studio. Because as Nate says it, good design isn't just beautiful, it's meaningful. And meaningful design, well, that's always in style, right? Oh my goodness. Nate, thank you so much for coming back to the show. I truly appreciate it. I enjoy our conversation so much. You just are such a giving human heart, and it comes through in the conversation. And I thank you, because I know your time is scarce and you're busy and there's lots of ways you can spend it. And I don't underestimate when you choose to spend it with me and my listeners. And thank you for showing up today. You know, every single week, I just love you, count on you, and just can't thank you enough for being on this road with me. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannnigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.